All right, I'm Paula Haddock. Tom has the day off. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to talk about something affecting 1 out of 10 Americans right now. It's unemployment. Just yesterday, the U.S. Department of Labor had some good news. The number of new jobless claims fell, but our nation's unemployment rate is still at a very uncomfortable 9.6%. And economic experts say companies are still not hiring, so it could be a long time before we see major improvements in the unemployment rate. Of course, that leaves so many people looking for jobs right now. Maybe you have a job and you're looking for a promotion or a raise. So how do you set yourself apart in the work field? How do you get what you believe you really deserve? Sandra Walston is an author, she's a public speaker, corporate trainer, and an expert in courage. She has spent 13 years conducting research on courage in the workplace, helping people hone specific techniques to conquer their fears and start living their lives courageously. Sandra, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Paula.
I was saying you're an author. Your first book was called Courage, the Heart and Spirit of Every Woman. And I know you kind of focus on women, but all of these things apply to men and women, no matter what they're trying to do in their lives. And then you just yesterday launched your brand new book. It's called Stuck.
Yes.
And 12 Steps Up the Leadership Ladder. Stuck, I like that term, because so many of us do feel stuck in parts of our lives, whether it's our job or our relationships, and that's where you come in. So 13 years of research that you've done, what have you discovered to help people get unstuck out there?
Well, that's why I trademarked Stuck Thinking, is because honestly we almost all know where we're stuck. But the key thing about getting unstuck, while we're all people at all levels are going through such suffering right now, is to begin to look at the power of this virtue that is held as sensational, amazing, tragic, and scandalous. That's what our culture does. We think unless you do something that's a headline, that we're not valuable. But yet courage is a virtue that if we just bring it down into our own heart, and that is the original definition of courage, is heart and spirit, the etymology of it, then we can begin to implement it into our life, such as something very simple. What I tell people, these things aren't going to cost you a dime. And one of the first things you can do is just say, are you willing to give yourself permission to claim your courage? So many times we're swallowing our voice. We're not speaking up about who we are. We aren't showcasing our talent.
Yeah, you were saying that
people
tend to swallow their voices, sell their souls, and just kind of keep the nose to the grindstone, but they're not living the way they want to live in their lives or in their jobs. So I know you put together some of your points as far as instilling courageous behaviors. We've got a couple of graphics that we can show people as you go through some of these. Now, one of your first tips here, take on a tough project.
Right. There's usually a stimulus like, oh no, I don't want to do that project because that one might fail. But failure is not bad. But so many times we're thinking, oh my gosh, if I have a failure, to me, I say go in and boast about it. And look about all you learned, that mistakes. Organizations tend to hide mistakes. I say welcome them, bring them in, because then you know how to fix something.
So when you make mistakes, you're saying embrace that and boast about it, but not, you don't stop and say, oh, I just messed that up, I'm a loser. You say, okay, I made a mistake here and this is what I learned from it.
Exactly.
Is that the important part of it?
Right. You know, I mean, I've made lots of mistakes and I've learned from them, and those are opportunities that I continue to step up my leadership ladder when I do that. So taking on a tough project, one that maybe no one else wants, is a good thing. So, and it expands your learning skills.
But how do you do that, Sandra? How do you say, all right, I failed at this, now I'm feeling miserable. How do you, get back up on the horse and say, I'm going to do this better? I mean, what is that step that you have to take to get beyond?
Claim your courage. I mean, that is it. Really, the first thing is to say, I'm willing to claim my courage. But look at how your speech went into the negative. Why does it have to be that we design a speech around, gee, I'm not worthy, or I didn't do it? No, I see those as good things in my life.
Excellent. Okay, let's take a look at that graphic again and go through a couple of the other scenarios. So instill self-discipline, reveal your vulnerability. I really like that one because really nobody wants to feel like they're vulnerable or weak, or they don't want to show that part of themselves. You want to always feel strong and smart and the one who's in the know.
Yes, well, revealing vulnerability, I think, is one of the critical ones also, because when you do that, you're really exposing your true essence. So what I suggest as a courage coach is I tee it up like this. So I need to let you know this takes courage for me to share blah, blah, blah. And what that does when you set that up is it creates a different kind of listening, a different kind of opening so that people are saying, wow, this is a big deal for her or for him. Because my work expands to non-gender, both genders. These are issues that our culture is replete of. Courage has been made into this big word, the heroic, the bravado, you know, the physical, the split-second kinds of things. No, it's about my journey and how I can stay on my journey. And we all fall into potholes, Paula. The question is, how long do you stay in the pothole when you're on that yellow brick road? It's getting out. Do you take action? Courage is about taking action. So instilling self-discipline is one of those. I mean, it's from exercising to still learning to reading, all of those kinds of things. When people say to me, oh, I have a book in me, I always say, let me be a jerk right now. And the jerk is, bet you don't do it. And people look at me like,
you don't do it. You don't print that book. You don't write that book.
Because you don't even have the discipline to start writing, to take the timing, to say, okay, every day for 2 hours I'm going to write. Yeah, so it's hard.
Excellent. This is good stuff, and I know you're going to stick around the entire hour for us. So if you have any questions for Sandra, do call us at 303-MARTINO. She will answer your questions all hour for us. And you know, we've gone through some of the steps about taking courageous steps, but you also have some advice a little bit later on about getting published. I mean, you've gotten published twice now, and as you said, some people, almost everyone, has a book out there in them. So here's your first one again, Courage, and here's your newest one, Stuck. Getting unstuck, the 12 steps up the leadership ladder. We're going to talk more about them. And there is a new technique that you were telling me about that people are using to get published through Amazon.com. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But thank you for those tips, and definitely call her 303-MARTINO. She's going to stick around for you. She's got some great advice. All right, brought Sandra Walston back up, our courage coach, and Kathy is on the line. She's got a question for you, Sandra. Hi, Kathy. Are you there? Can you hear us? I heard something. Are you still there, Kathy? Oh, I think she may have dropped off. All right, so we'll try to get her back and bring you back up here, Sandra. Sorry about that. But all right, back by popular demand, our courage coach, Sandra Walston. We had a caller on the line for you just a little bit ago, but we were joking. Maybe she didn't quite have the courage to stick on the line, but we definitely want to talk to you some more about some techniques that people can use to really, get out there and do something they've always dreamed of. And you're an author of 2 successful books already, and you say, you meet so many people who say, I've got this great idea for a book, but they don't quite take those steps. So you can help them employ courage, and you can also give them some great tips on how to do it easier these days.
Yes, I mean, the first time that I was published was by Random House, so I had an agent and went the traditional route and a national book tour and all of that. And while that was a lot of fun, they published, the first book in hard copy, and then they come out traditionally a year later in paperback. Well, if you take a look at this paperback and then what I've done for the second book, which was sold, and when we went through these economic times, the publisher broke the contract, I went to the publishing arm of Amazon, and that is createspace.com. And so there's a template that you can use, and you can pick over 20 book covers, which this is an example of one of them. They upload everything. They monitor it. They ship it for you. So here it comes from Amazon in these nice folders and boxes, and I think Amazon has shipping and handling down there.
They really definitely have that down pat.
They really do.
So you're saying CreateSpace is really a great way to go. If you don't go the traditional route, you don't get picked up by a publisher, you can kind of self-publish through CreateSpace. And some of the things you're listing here as the bonuses, of course, they handle the shipping and handling and all of that, but the templates that you can choose from, the trim sizes, you can change the manuscript whenever you would like. But you were also talking about you can order as few as 3 books if you want, or up to 100,000. I mean, it can be limitless, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the other things that I really love about it is you can call an 866 number and talk to a person. I mean, what a concept.
Who knew, right?
What a concept. So, I mean, when I compare this book that was out by Random House and this book, I don't really think that there's much difference in the quality.
Right. I mean, you look at these side to side. This is the traditional published book. Okay, and they're both, we have to kind of apples to apples, the paperback to paperback. And then this is the one you did with CreateSpace. They both look very polished, very professional, but this newest one called Stuck, you did on your own because unfortunately, the publisher, they changed their mind. They were going to publish you, and then they said no.
Yes, when we went into the economic downturn, they broke the contract. Of course, if I'd have broken the contract with them, they'd have sued me.
Sure.
But,
so you used your courage, and you stuck it out, and you said, I'm going to go to CreateSpace and publish it anyway.
There's several out there. I mean, but
It's a great tip.
It is. I mean, so anybody can actually do that. And then if you find a boo-boo, if I find a boo-boo in this latest tradition, is that I can then, I can correct it at any time I want. You just have that little bit of downtime until you reload the PDF and correct it. So, I mean, it's
Well,
great.
Good for you. That is great advice for anyone who has that,
So
that book in
anybody
their
who
mind.
has courage can actually do this. And of course, unless they want one of my courage pills.
She's got courage pills here. All right, we'll be right back on Martino TV.